Again, Trump was in Detroit at this black church, 180 Church, and he was in the Bronx the other day. You mentioned especially black young men, and this article in Politico is about Clybern, is about how it's all wrong. There's no way Trump is going to do well in the black vote. He said, anyone who believes that Donald Trump will get 30% of the black male vote or 12% of the black female vote, I've got a bridge down here on John's Island I'll sell you. So he thinks there's nothing to this talk of Donald Trump doing well among black voters. What are you seeing?
I disagree with that, and I'll share this. It's jokingly, but it's a true story. I was out campaigning, and African American gentleman came up to me, and I said, "Yeah, what do you think about situation with President Trump?" And he said, "Well, I'm gonna vote for him because he's one of us now." I know it's funny, but what he was saying was, listen, we can identify with this sham trial that the president just went through. We can identify with the cards being stacked against you before you even get to the trial, and the fact that he is a convicted felon. We can identify with that. Not the fact that whether he did it or not, but the fact of whether or not it was a fair trial. And we've been dealing with that for a long time as African-American males. And they say, hey, he's one of us now. We're going to vote and support him. That's what they're saying to me. And so, for folks to say, well, he's not going to get this and he's not going to, I disagree. That's not what the talk is on the street. It's the exact opposite of that.
I heard someone say, and I wish I could remember the name to give him credit, but it was something like, you don't want 95 or whatever the percent is of black people voting for either party. Like that's so insane. And like, when did that happen? The black vote. Like, what is that? And how do we break that and just make it like, 60-40 or 50-50 or whatever? I mean, that should just be like a normal thing. Like 90-something% of black people vote this one way. I mean, of course that party is going to take that block for granted. How do you break that?
Well, you break it by exposing the Democratic Party for what they are and what they do. For example, Tulsi Gabbard, who was a Democrat, Representative Tulsi Gabbard, who was a Democrat who ran for president, she left the Democratic Party. And if you go back and look at the reasons that she stated for why she left, it's just, she laid it all out. They're hostile to people of faith. They are hostile against law enforcement and people trying to protect others. They are, she just laid out, they are warmongers and want war and they are basically not sincere in their advocacy of the quote unquote minority groups that they say that they really want to help, And that message is resonating, and we have a local senator here in South Carolina. She's the first African-American female to run for governor. Her name's Mia McLeod. She left the Democratic Party and cited basically the same thing. They don't really help black female candidates on statewide races. Their values are no longer in step with the values of myself and my constituency. And she left, and she's identifying as independent. So slowly people are speaking up and speaking out against the party that has kept them, made promises, broken those promises, and folks are saying, you know what, you've been saying this for years and nothing has changed in my community. It's gotten worse. And again, when you have an open border and you allowing folks coming across illegally, some of them bringing drugs, and then those drugs are poisoning the community. I have a problem with that, and that has to stop because that is resulting in gun violence and robberies and thefts and things that are going on in the 6th District. And the first order of business, and when I'm congressman, is to work with the president to secure our southern border. And those people who are in our country illegally, they've got to go back where they came from. Bottom line.
Last question for you. But if you're on welfare and don't want to work, then you should definitely vote for the Democrats, right? Aren't they going to be better for you?
Well, again, that's an issue that we're dealing with right now. Is that number one, with the government puts people in a position where it's more beneficial for them to stay home than it is to work. Because if you make too much money, then you will lose your benefit. And so one of the ways to change that is not to punish people for working. The guidelines for to be able to qualify have not changed or been adjusted for inflation. So what we're saying is, if you're on, Social Security, disability, let's raise the amount of money that you can make and still qualify for benefits, so that now at least you're working and you don't have an incentive to stay home. That's something that has to change. And once we get folks working, then it's all work is noble, and there's benefits in work and self-esteem and being able to take care of yourself and your family. It benefits in work. But when you're staying home and depending on the government, you lose something. You lose your self-esteem goes down, and you just begin to become dependent. And we have to change that in our country.
Amen. Duke Buckner running against Jim Clybern. Vote for Duke.com. Anywhere else you want to send anyone, Mr. Buckner?
No, just vote for Duke.com or DukeBuckner.com. Either one will take you there. And again, Mr. Clybern has a war chest of $1 million. We've raised over about $120,000. We're coming into the final months of the campaign, and to keep our message in front of the people, to keep us being able to buy the signs in the television and the radio that we need, I'm asking for your financial support of any amount to help us to liberate the 6th District from, I'm going to call it, the economic slavery and tyranny that has been imposed by President Joe Biden and his sidekick, Jim Clybern, who's been there and has not done the work to help the people, lift the people up from where we are financially at the bottom of the barrel. And if you want to see how sad it is, just go to Hampton County, to Estill, and turn on a faucet there, or Denmark, and turn on a faucet and see this brown drinking water that's coming out of the system there. It will break your heart, and that's how folks are living. Downtowns that used to be thriving and had businesses, again, they're closed. Bamberg, South Carolina, all these, Allendale, Hampton, Colleton County, where I live, it's a shame, and it's time for change. And I need your help in order to defeat Mr. Clybern. People are ready for change, and they're not going to continue to vote for Mr. Clybern when they see that he has not done things to help them, but to help himself and his family. That's the legacy that he's leaving for himself.
But they need to see the alternative. Vote for Duke.com. Mr. Buckner, great to talk to you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for your call. God bless you, and have a great rest of your day. And thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.